Well, Joseph, another colourful day for the cooperative group. Len Wardle, the chairman, has resigned in the wake of the scandal over the behaviour of the former chairman of Co-op Bank. What's your take on all of this?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot today on Next about whether mutuals have a future, whether the model is still inherently good for purpose, or whether the Co-op's record of expansion, of very bad governance, and the scandal, which has also been going on for months over its bank, has more or less blown up that structure. And I, after thinking it over, think the mutual model is just too simple for today's world.
I guess it depends a lot on what sort of mutual it is. Perhaps one of the big drawbacks of the co-op was that it grew, and it grew too big, and it perhaps became detached from its members. Members perhaps of a small cooperative in agriculture or whatever it is, who all have a real economic interest in its success. Perhaps that is a good model for a cooperative group, but the big cooperative group of funeral homes and the supermarkets and the bank, perhaps it became too detached from its members. Its members often hadn't put any money, hadn't bought shares in it, and their only economic interest was in discount vouchers for the supermarkets. I wonder if that's just a little bit too detached from the day-to-day running of the strategy.
Yeah, I think there are two lines you can develop from that. If you are mutual and you go into financial services, particularly banking, your stakeholders expand from the simple cooperative membership structure to depositors, to bondholders, and, like you say, to shareholders. And they have very particular interests, sometimes conflicting interests, if it's bondholders versus shareholders, for example. As we saw in the collapse of the Co-op Bank, maybe shareholders weren't an issue, but plenty of people had bought bonds in the bank, and it seemed like the Co-op group and the bank had no way to deal with negotiating with those bondholders when it came to restructuring the bank's capital. But then there's the second line, which is, as you mentioned, when there are millions of cooperative group members who are in it maybe for discount vouchers, but also a vague sense that this is really the most ethical bank or insurance provider or food retailer on the market. They're bound by that, but there are millions of these people, and then they're not in constant community contact as you might have expected centuries ago, when they were Methodist preachers or members of what we now call the working class. Really, that sense of community spirit has gone, and I can't really think of a way to kind of get it back.
It sounds like the co-op really has to do a big job of not just getting through the most recent crisis over the bank, but just a bigger look at what it's doing, why it's doing it, who it's doing it for, and perhaps most importantly, how it controls what it's doing, how perhaps it avoids a repeat of the disasters of the past year or two. Joseph, thank you very much.